Military analyst and journalist William Arkin said goodbye to NBC after 3 decades, and he pulled no punches about why he was leaving. Arkin explained his decision in a 2,000-plus word resignation letter he sent to colleagues last week, citing a lack of real reporting at NBC's support for endless war in this world. Legal journalist Molly Barrows joins me now. This is not, Molly, you know, we've talked about MSNBC, we've talked about NBC. We always start this discussion, and this, first of all, people need to go online and read
the entire
it is scathing.
I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was it made me feel good that there are still freedom fighters within the ranks.
Yeah, there's still a journalist out there that's really a journalist. So what's happened, and the best way to explain this story is when in the lead up to war, whether it's Iraq, whether it's Iran, whether it's this new Cold War that the media is trying to start with both Russia and China at the same time, you wonder, are they really an extension of the military complex? Now, Eisenhower, you remember, believed that the media was part of that. He said, be very careful because this industrial military complex is going to be very dangerous. And he actually anticipated that the media might be part of that. Now we see that certainly MSNBC, if you watch MSNBC in a lead up to war, you're going to see Boeing commercials, you're going to see McDonnell Douglas commercials, you're going to see these military commercials where it's not like you're going to go out and buy a missile. You're not going to buy a cruise missile, right? So as you're watching the ad, you're going to wonder why they're advertising on MSNBC. It's because these cats like Phil Griffin and Andy Lack are sucking in the money. And in exchange for sucking in the money from advertisement money, they're willing to say whatever has to be said. What's your take?
You're exactly right. Now, he didn't go into a lot of those details, but basically the picture that he painted is, hey, I'm a 30-year journalist, military analyst, author. I've been working for NBC on and off for 3 decades. And every single time, whether I've been covering 9/11 or I've covered the Cold War, when I try to cover the real issues that led to us being in these conflicts to begin with, those issues get brushed aside. No matter what angle that he pitched, basically they didn't want to hear it. They only wanted to continue the war cry. There was only room for one war cry, and that was to go along with whatever our military leaders said at the time needed to be done. So if the war on terrorism called for going in and multiple strikes on Afghanistan with no real clear plan of leaving that region, or what our plan of success would be in the Middle East when, you know, Trump even talks about leaving Syria. He hits on a lot of broad issues, and in a nutshell, he says, yes, we have a Trump media circus. We're wrapped up paying attention to all the little stuff, and we're not paying attention to the big stuff.
Molly,
but he is bringing up points.
It's not just Trump.
That was his point.
Obama was just as bad. Bush before him was, of course, got us involved in Iraq.
And that was his point as well.
Phil Donahue. I lay this at the feet to MSNBC because it's so tangible there.
Yes.
I know this Phil Griffin cat. I know how they think. I know Ed Schultz, of course, who you know used to be the anchor on this program. He and I were dear friends. And he would often talk about the idea that they would not let them be critical of military issues.
That's what he was saying.
Just like the TPP issue. Ed Schultz understood how dangerous the TPP issue. He talked badly about Hillary Clinton. They wouldn't let him do this. And so Phil Donahue, you remember Phil Donahue?
I remember Phil, the original talk show host.
Phil Donahue was the guy that came out against Iraq, one of the few people who had enough courage around NBC.
Yes.
All the other NBC cats had these big maps on the floor. And they would talk about embedded journalists and they'd follow around the map.
It's the entertainment game. It keeps you focused on the little stuff in the middle. And you talk about, oh, gosh, it's poor Obama can't stop these inmates from being waterboarded. He can't close Guantanamo Bay. And that's what Arkin was saying, that it's just too big for him to be able to take on some of these big problems when they're not even addressing the real problems. Why can't we shut down Guantanamo Bay? What is our foreign policy when it comes to Syria, Afghanistan, and the war on terrorism? What does success look like? We're not really holding our military leaders accountable. And he was saying, and we're not even reporting on their mistakes.
Progressives, to some degree, I mean, the really fringe progressives have become warmongers, all because they hate Trump so much.
You're right.
And it's a very dangerous thing.
And that's not journalism.
No, it's not journalism. They are absolutely. NBC, I'll say it again, is part and extension of the military complex in this country.
Well, thank you, Bap, and thanks to Arkin for getting this conversation
started.
No
question about it. He's an interesting character. Thank you for joining me, okay?
Thanks, Bap.